So is in this case, and this is what I'm curious about understanding the BJP and Modi more generally, because they're fusing together not, and again, obviously there's many different types of nationalism and we need to make some distinctions here, but they're not talking about like a kind of proud nationalism of course, we, got rid of a colonial or power like the British, and we have a pride in our own culture and so on. I mean, these things are actually, I don't think, certainly globally, these are not controversial attitudes to have at all. Mm-hmm. But they are trying to actually reconstruct, in some cases, even like a magical history, like they're literalizing certain things. So as an example, like almost like the way some people here would say, set like a biblical creation museum. There's, or if you went to got an official textbook in Saudi Arabia or something, or if you went to a religious community in Israel, you might get a very cosmological view of how the universe was created that is antithetical to science. So some of that is going on. But I'm also curious, like how that fuses with, was there ever a time, I guess, in the party when the nationalism and sort of like sectarianism was fused together with maybe a skepticism about capitalism or foreign capital? Or was it always, in the BJP, or was it always this fusion? Because it really does remind me of Republicans. On one hand, of this like romantic fixation on a certain identity, but then on the other hand, opening all of the doors for even the same forces that will, in fact, I'll just like lay it on the line, like poison India's sacred rivers, get rid of people's religious attitudes. Like capitalism threatens socially conservative things as well. So how is that? So it sounds to me like Modi's like a Republican in the sense that he's really going all in on all of it. Was there ever a tendency in the BJP that tried to be ultra right wing and social and sectarian issues and also had a bit more skepticism about capital as an example, or has it always been this way?
It has actually always been this way, and it's a very good question, because when the BJP was formed, it was formed economically as an antithesis to the Congress's rule of socialism. So under Indira Gandhi in the 1970s, we saw a massive drive against privatization. We were always socialistic when after we achieved independence from the British. But then in the 1970s, that thing became, socialism became extremely severe to the extent that there was a whole round of nationalization of banks and, the curbing of the rights of former princes, royalty under the British, who were nurtured by the British. So in that sense, in 1980, when the BJP actually formed, their entire idea was to align with the United States rather than Russia during the Cold War, and by that time the Cold War is ending, and to bring in business, to bring in foreign investment, and to bring in absolute, revival of the economy, so to say. That was the economic agenda of the BJP, and they have been more or less extremely Republican in that way. Even when we have seen BJP governments come to power, they have ushered in those policies. They have done away with SOPs, etc. But what we have seen is also just before the elections, the BJP will come out with these massive SOP programs where they dole out money to the poor and to farmers and promise to waive off their loans, etc., etc. In reality, it doesn't really happen. One of the biggest promises of 2014, Modi's election bid in 2014, was literally to put 15 lakh rupees into every Indian's bank account. Literally, this is what he said. And a few years after the election, when the national president of the BJP was asked about that election promise, he laughed and said, "Wow, well, that was just an election jumla." Jumla in Urdu, in English, literally means it was a gimmick. So
that sounds like a Trump line.
Yeah, that's true.
I could see him say that. It was a jumla. You've just watched a Michael Brooks show video, and you can watch all of our full main live shows every Tuesday night at around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and subscribe to get all of the clips you want. We're covering the globe. We're focusing on international relations, the intellectual dark web. We're having fun. We're doing deep dives. with a lot of amazing guests. Of course, become a patron for the whole thing at patreon.com/TMBS, or subscribe to this YouTube channel and help us keep growing and get that content out there. Subscribe below.